All right. How's everyone doing tonight? This is the Not Ghost Host podcast. I'm Mike. I am your ghost host, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of a introduction. I'm going to be doing that introduction only because I think you want to know what's going on. How about that? So with further ado, I am Mike. I am from the Not podcast with Ed and Lou, and that Not podcast is just an everyday conversation type of podcast. We get together, it's like being out at a fire pit with a jug of moonshine or whiskey or bourbon, and just having a good old conversation amongst everybody. And we felt that everybody out there in lands unbeknownst to us deserved to be with us. So with that being said, this is a spin-off of that, and this is my own podcast because it has to do with the paranormal. So if you hear a little background ambiance, that's because there is little background ambiance. And so this episode, I will be telling you about myself, about the podcast, what's to come, what's going to be going on. I hope you enjoy. This one isn't going to be so enjoyable. Might be a little bit of informative for y'all, but really, this one is just going to be a short little who I am. And with that, I'm going to get a start. So again, my name is Mike. I live in beautiful Burbank, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. Yeah, I don't need to say any more than that, but at least I'm not in Chicago with that beautiful mayor, Mayor Johnson. Mm-hmm. Anyway, at least he doesn't cause me problems. So being from Illinois and from Chicagoland area, there is plenty of places that are said to be haunted from spirits of the past, now, and forever. So we've got Bachelor's Grove, we've got Resurrection Cemetery, Resurrection Mary from Resurrection Cemetery, countless buildings that were owned by the mobs, houses, and all sorts of theaters, and you name it. In Chicago, there's something that's haunted. There's plenty of pubs that are haunted. There's plenty of cemeteries. There's plenty of everything. Can't go wrong in this city unless you live in it. And the reason I'm into the paranormal is partly because of a house in Chicago that I resided in with my now wife. And I'll get into that story just a little bit, but a little bit background about myself. I am a retired sheriff. I am a union carpenter. I was bricklayer. I was a home builder, and then I went into finished carpentry, and then I went into the sheriff's department, and I spent 18 years doing that and 20 years being a carpenter. And with that, I finally retired, and I'm not retired from the Carpenters Union. However, I don't actively work, and I don't actively look for work. Work usually finds me. But because I do have so much spare time, I have picked up the hobby of paranormal investigation. I had actually started doing paranormal investigation in about 1992. I was always interested in it. Before that, I was interested in the supernatural, the paranormal. I still am interested in the supernatural as well. It seems to me that paranormal investigation, while is an expensive hobby, it's much cheaper than, let's say, squatching. With ghost hunting, being from Chicago in the Midwest, I don't have to travel far to find something that's haunted or be able to investigate. On the other hand, being from the Midwest, looking for Bigfoot is a little bit challenging. Not that it's impossible, it's just a little bit challenging. And in order to get to good squatching areas, you need to travel to the West Coast. More than likely there you would might have a better shot than going to South Illinois. In South Illinois, you might get shot. So with that, I chose to do my paranormal investigations with ghosties. I am actively running a home hunt, really a yard hunt. I set up my yard and my neighbor's yard every year with a great big display. We have animatronics, we've got live actors on the weekends, all sorts of exciting things happen with that. We've been doing that for 15 years, and unfortunately, I decided this year to pull the plug, so this will be my last year doing that. I'm going to miss it, but it's time. And, when we first started it, it was a plan just to go 10 years. And we surpassed that, and we made it through COVID and plenty of other obstacles. I had several heart attacks in 2015. My partner, one of my partners that helps me with it, he had a major stroke in 2013, and there's Lou, which is on the other podcast with me. He helps out, and his health is not completely terrible, but it isn't up to par, and we're just getting older. So that we decided we're going to quit. That, like I said, that's going to be tough. That is a big part of my life, and lots of time and money invested into that, and it always went for a good cause. We we collected donations to raise money for children, either that we knew about, or someone in the school district that had a terminal illness, and unbelievably, we never ran out of people. Which is not a good thing, but we were glad to help. And being that it was so close, or is so close to Christmas, even if we didn't raise a whole lot of money, maybe to, pay bills, maybe it gave them a better Christmas, because most of the kids were young, and Santa was able to visit them, which always cheers up everybody, I hope. I'm sure there are people out there that have difficulty through the holidays. But for the most part, it's a cheerful time, and hopefully we are able to assist in that cheer by providing a little extra comfort for them. But with all good things, it's time to come to an end in that. So this chapter of podcasting is starting up, and it's already have seemed to been taking quite a bit of my time that I wasn't familiar with. A lot of technology out there that I've always loved technology. Always, I've got more equipment than you can, you know, you wouldn't believe how much equipment I have, and for what reasons. Just because I like to have different gadgets. Always, ever since I was little, same thing. Love the paranormal, love the technology. My dad was a telephone man, and the exciting part about that, which doesn't sound exciting, but I was the first kid in probably all the neighborhoods around me that had a father that had a car with a phone in it. That was unheard of in the 70s. And, limousines had them, and very influential people. But my dad had a car. It was a company car, but it had a car and it had a phone in it. And that was exciting. And then he also had the first renditions of a pager. You didn't get any display on it. It just beeped. And in fact, it was called a beeper. He had a beeper, and when it beeped, you knew what number was calling you, and you called that number back. And I have one of those still to this day with the original phone number of that particular pager. And if I were to be able to find a way to charge it and get it operating, which was another thing, it was a rechargeable pager called Bell Boy, and it was it had the Bell System logo on it, and it was really cool. But that made me feel important because my dad was important because he had a pager. But so yeah, technology was embedded into me at a young age. So I really I was taking apart radios. I was, working on stereo systems and just crazy things for as long as I can remember. And so with that, I just naturally doing the haunt, we built all of our own props, and you have to learn, to do the electronics and the pneumatics and so forth and so on. And so that kind of fed my need for doing the technology part. And now that I'll be this is my last year, I'll be looking for something to fill that spot. Well, this has really filled that spot, I'll tell you that. This has computers, mixing boards, microphones, all sorts of, gadgets, headphone amplifiers I didn't even know existed. Thought you plugged a headphone in and just listened to it. But, with the mixing board, we needed a thing because it's 4 headphones and, 3 people doing the podcast, and we have a guest, that's going to be the other set. So, microphones all over the place. Now, then I got this idea to start this podcast, and had to buy more microphones, and then getting involved in a real paranormal investigation team. That I didn't have to buy anything. The team has all the equipment, but I already had a collection that I was using. I used all my own equipment because I've investigated for years on my own, and you build up an arsenal, and why not use it? Well, now I'm building ghost hunting equipment for that, which is kind of fun, and collecting all kinds of gear. I watch the shows and see what different teams are using, and then you look it up on the internet and find out what ghost hunters are using, for their equipment, and you work with what you have. And fortunately, because I started so many years ago doing this, that I built up a nice collection, and just recently bought some more cameras and recording equipment. So yeah, I'm getting kind of downtrodden with all this electronics. It's fun, but it's confusing because I don't know how to use most of it, and never was trained in it formally. But I used to. With cameras, I don't have a problem. Cameras, I'm real good with. I used to videotape for weddings and bar mitzvahs and all sorts of different gatherings, and a lot of plays. I did a lot of plays for the Chicago Park District and a couple other park districts, and a private company, acting company. So, I got to do a lot of videography. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm starting this yawning thing again. It is 11 o'clock at night. So, I will be doing all these podcasts at night, only because of the dark nature of it. As you can see outside, it's kind of cloudy and stormy, but it's gonna get better eventually. Don't know when, but hopefully soon. But warm days are coming, and I might even take this outside. But this yawning's got to stop. Wow. Interrupting my own self, which is quite normal for me anyway. Squirrel. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I'm going to give you my little bit of a background of how I got into paranormal investigations. And it started, again, like I said, when I was a child. I used to love all the monster movies and used to watch those religiously. It was all the Universal monsters. It wasn't none of the newer stuff. I have kind of a heartfelt place for those in my heart, and still love that. It goes along with the haunt. But so that kind of sparked my interest. When I was little, was were monsters real? But the funny thing is, I never had monsters in my closet or under the bed. Nothing like that ever. I wasn't afraid to go to sleep. I wasn't afraid of the dark. In fact, I love the dark. I love working at night. I don't like doing midnights on the job, but I do like, I'll be up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I get my yawns now, 11 o'clock, 10:30 at night. All of a sudden I start yawning, and then, by 11:15, I'm back to, getting my second or third wind at this point. So that started my interest in liking it, and then I got into Halloween. That kind of drove it a little bit more, and then being a teenager in this area, you hear all the folklore, and you go chasing that around, for fun evening or whatever with your friends. It was never real, but I took it more seriously than anybody in the group, and that's why I did what I did. I enjoyed it. I'm like, well, if I'm going to go out there and I'm going to, waste time with my idiot friends, I'm going to have the right fun and drive towards, getting the truth. Because somewhere there is a grain of truth in any one of those stories. Somehow, there's got to be. Every story has a grain of truth in it, whether it's a crime or a thing of passion, what have you. Lovers' lanes, you hear about those all the time. Murder at the Lovers' Lane. But yeah, so when we would go out as friends, I would be more real about it than my friends were. And they didn't know the difference. You know, did you hear that? Did you see that? Did you, experience? Did you feel that chill? Stuff like that. And it was just their ambiance, but my reality. And I never did experience anything. I never got spooked either. My friends are running out of the woods, and I'm just, moseying out. Like, oh, great, now I got to go chase these idiots. And, it made it fun for the girls and, what have you. But, I was never spooked by it, never experienced anything. And then I met my wife, my now wife, and not that I had a different wife, but when we got together, she had moved, shortly after we got together, she had moved out and moved in with some friends, and that didn't work out. So we rented an apartment down not too far from the first apartment, and I think we stayed there for about a year, and it just, it was a nice place, but it was way overpriced. I think even back in 89 and 90, I think it was 90, no, 89, it was about 1989, we were paying $750 a month for a one-bedroom apartment. That's just not worth it. That's just terrible. So we ended up moving out of there. And fortunately, she had a grandfather that lived in Chicago in an old home in Chicago. Nothing really special. But it was his first home in Chicago. And this is her grandfather, which at the time was in his 80s. And so and I didn't know this at the time when we moved in, but my to-be in-laws at that point, my father-in-law was raised in that home, and later on through time going on, he converted it from, a single-family home to apartments. They were two separate entrances. You can, there was a front porch, and you were able to go up to the second floor on the front porch, or there was an enclosed rear porch that, connected both apartments. So we figured we'd move in there if, even if he charged us rent, it probably wouldn't be anywhere near what the rent was in, I think it was Chicago Ridge at the time. And, no, it still is Chicago Ridge, but, it was Chicago Ridge, and, that was really expensive. But, we figured, okay, well, this has got to be much cheaper, and it was. It was like $150 a month, and even if we didn't have it, he didn't care. Not that we didn't have it, it was only $150 a month, but, it was, if we needed an extra day or two, or, hey, maybe a bill came up that was unexpected, we were working on a car or something, don't worry about the rent, okay. So that was great, but then he got help that he needed. He was up there in age. He was, like I said, in his 80s. He died when he was 90. I think he was 91 or 92 years old or something like that. So we spent 3 years or 2 or 3 years with him, and so we took care of him, and so it was a benefit to both of us. But in that time, that's when I had my first experience, and my first experience was quite unique. First of all, again, I didn't know much about my to-be wife's family. I had only found out after we had moved in there that my father-in-law was raised in that home with his brother and sister. That's the other thing I found out was I didn't even know he had a sister. And until my father-in-law passed away, I had never once seen a photograph of his sister. Never once. I don't know why. There probably because there really wasn't that many of them. She didn't. She wasn't married, and my sorry, my wife. My wife was only 12 years old when her aunt passed away. So, we were living at the house basically 12 years later. So, her aunt had passed 12 years before we moved in there. And the second floor basically sat vacant for a while. There was a couple renters here and there, but, they couldn't pay rent and they get kicked out, whatnot and so forth. And so anyway, it was available for us. We move in, and that's when I started learning all about the family history. And found out a lot about the house, too. Found out that we wanted to add some electric lines in to the first floor for whatever reasons. And as we were doing the drilling the walls, you got to drill through all the studs, boom, 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 run the conduit through, and this, that, and the other. Well, we found out that I think it was every 10 feet, there was a telephone pole that was a main support in the house. So every corner had a telephone pole, and then throughout, every 10 feet, there was another telephone pole that we had to drill through. And we didn't realize it at the time. We're drilling, and as we're drilling, it drills, getting shorter and shorter, but it's not through anything yet. And that's when we realized, we tore out a little spot and found out it was a telephone pole that was in there, or a tree, whatever. So that went from the first floor all the way to the second floor, all the way up to the roof, and that was the main support of the house. There was no insulation in the walls at all, not a drop of insulation. And that's because back then, when the house was built, the insulation was the air barrier between that thick wall. It actually worked really well. Even in the coldest winters, that apartment would stay warm with a little Siegler heater, corner heater, and it was kind of nice. Wasn't a real fireplace, but it had real fire, and they would put a window in it so you can see the flames, and even though it was a gas operated thing, it had real flames and heated up everything, and it was a 2-bedroom. Really, there's 4 rooms in this. Outside of the bathroom, there's 4 rooms. You had a kitchen, living room, and 2 bedrooms. Then the back porch, of course, which was separate, but that would get cold because that was an addition, and it only enclosed the porch. It didn't really make it a room. But anyway, our bedroom was the back bedroom that was just off the kitchen. So you'd go through the front door into the living room, and as you were, if you're going into this house, you would be facing east as you walk through the door. If you're facing the front of the house, you'd be facing east. So both of the bedrooms were on the north wall. The living room and the kitchen were on the south walls, and they were split right in the middle. So the apartment was, half kitchen and half living room. And then each one of those had a bedroom off of it. So our bedroom was the rear bedroom. It had a really small bedroom because, being kitchen, you had a full walk-in pantry. It was nice, but it made that room really small because then the bedroom had a closet. So that made it even smaller. And I'll tell you how small the room was. We had a full size, yeah, full size bed, and the full size went from the doorway to the west wall, from the north wall to 6 inches away from the south wall. That kind of gives you an idea. It's not a queen size bed. A queen size would have overhung the door by about 6 inches. And so that's, not a lot of room. So basically, the edge of the bed was in line with the door jamb of the bedroom. And there was no doors, by the way, not even bifolds or anything. There was no doors on those bedrooms. The other side of the room, on the other side of the door, it was approximately 5 feet deep. And my wife's makeup table was on that wall. And then part of that was a 30-inch door for the closet, which was a walk-in closet. So you walked in and, it was a walk-in closet. Kind of went behind where the makeup table was at. But anyway, with my wife sitting at the makeup table, if she were to turn slightly, she can see out into the kitchen. All she had to do is look over her right shoulder a bit, and you can see clear into the kitchen. Be looking at the stove and the door to the bathroom, which was across the way. And what would happen is, at the time I was working security, so I would work all 3 shifts. I worked 2 days on evenings, 2 days on afternoons, and 2 days on days. And on the days that I worked evenings, on the days that I worked evenings, on the evenings that I worked evenings, I would come home in the morning and I'd jump in the bed and go to sleep. My wife would be at the makeup table getting ready for work. This one particular day, I don't even know if, it had any significance on this day or anything like that, but this one particular day I came home and getting ready for bed. I sit down on the edge of bed and I roll into bed, and at first I start laying on my left side, then I flip over onto the right side. Well, when I'm getting ready to fall asleep, that's when I start to flip. So I'm just laying, basically at this point I'm laying on my back getting ready to go onto the right side, and as I'm looking out the doorway, I can see the kitchen. The kitchen sinks across from me, and there's a window. And right across the top, from about maybe the 3.5 to 4 foot, all the way up to about 6 feet in the doorway, a white mist went right across the doorway. And I'm talking fast. It went from left to right, and it was pure white, but it was like fog. It was like a heavy pea super fog, and it just went real quick. Just your typical ghost in a sheet type of look, but transparent and real fast. And I didn't say anything to my wife. I didn't say anything. I mean, I didn't even say goodnight. But then she turns to me and she says, did you see that? And I said, nope. And I promptly turned over and went to sleep. Well, I never admitted that to her in all the years. I don't know why I didn't. I just had no interest in, acknowledging that I saw it. I wasn't spooked, but one, I was goofing around with her, pretending like I didn't see it, and she never caught on. So she thought for all this time that she was just seeing things. She thought maybe the cat jumped across. There's, on the one side of the door was a credenza, and the other side was the stove, and, she thought maybe just a cat got up there and then jumped across to the stove, which he had never done in the past. But, cats are cats. They'll do crazy shit. The problem with that is the cat at the time was Shadow, and he was dark gray. Not quite black, but dark gray. And, hence the Shadow name. So I knew it wasn't the cat, and even then, if the cat were to jump, he might have hit the 4-foot part, but he wasn't going to be, making that whole entire distance from the 4-foot to the 6-foot. Excuse me, I have to get a drink, wet my whistle. So, I at that point I never admitted to her, but I never investigated it either. I went to sleep and basically woke up and forgot about it. And she never mentioned anything when she got home, so, it was what it was. But there were a few times that I had actually wondered what what it was. And then I think it was about 6 months after the incident, it's when I found out that my father-in-law-to-be's sister lived in that apartment, and that's where she died. Massive heart attack. And I'm not sure if she died in the living room, if she died in the kitchen, if she died in one of the bedrooms. I don't know. I don't even know what bedroom was hers. I don't even think my wife would know. So I never got to meet the aunt. Never even saw a picture of her. She was rarely ever talked about. And my father-in-law had a brother, and neither one of them would ever really speak of of their sister. I don't know if it was just, sore subject with them, or, they finally just let it go and let her go. I don't know the mother, the grandmother. I don't know where she lived or passed away at. So maybe it was either one of them. I don't know. They both spent time in that home, and it was their home for years. Oh, excuse me. That was later on, like I said, 6 months down the road after the incident is when I found that out. And I asked my wife, girlfriend, why she never told me that. And that's when I admitted to her at that point is that I had seen what she had seen. And she wasn't too thrilled with me, if you will. But, she understood. And but that really is what sparked my interest. At that point, which was 1992, I started seriously looking into investigating ghosts. I would go out to different locations. I'd have voice recorders. I didn't have any of the technology there was today. I didn't have I didn't have any other than cameras and voice recorders. No other equipment, but I did have a really nice camcorder because, again, that's when I had started doing weddings and doing video for plays and whatnot for the Chicago Park District. And so I had good cameras. I would just, like I said, pick a place, go out to it. Bachelor's Grove was one of the places that I frequented. Basically, I went to quite a few of the woods out there because there's always folklore around any one of the woods. There were plenty of restaurants out in the western suburbs that claimed to have spirits and different stories. Oh, my goodness, this is crazy. Then I would go to Resurrection Cemetery all the time. It was kind of convenient because a couple of my friends, one of their friends had passed away, and we would go and visit there. And while making the visit, I would do my investigation and what have you, and they would join and get into the fun, but they weren't as serious as I was about it. And I would just do different little trips here and there. We did a couple of ghost tours through a couple Chicago teams, and one of them was Richard Crow. He was a renowned folklorist for Chicago, and he loved the supernatural and the paranormal. He was pretty good. That was a pretty good. It was a good lesson. It wasn't that we saw anything or felt anything, but we saw where Capone had his places, and we saw different. We saw where the Saint Valentine's Day massacre happened. Although the building, even then, was already been torn down. But the one wall that is that was used for another building still had bullet holes in it, and you can see all that. So that was interesting. And then where Dillinger got taken by the FBI. So it was a good tour, and he really knows the history of Chicago. He is no longer with us. He is part of the spirit world now, and I didn't even think about that. That might be some person I might try to connect with next time I'm playing around with my spirit portal. Then there was another, I can't think of the name of the team that we went with. It was just a tour. I shouldn't say team, but the lady that ran it was an active investigator, and so she was very knowledgeable in what she was showing us. And most of our tour with that was with downtown Chinatown, or not downtown, but Chinatown, which was different. We've done a couple tours here. We've done quite a few tours down in Louisiana, which is really cool. We've done a couple in Gatlinburg. So, I have been active for quite a few years doing this, and I have a lot of my own evidence from different locations. I never experienced anything paranormal since that incident up until just recently, because of all the equipment. Now I'm finding more stuff. Getting EVPs. I actually when I started this with this team, went on their first investigation, my first investigation with them, and collected a entity walking out of a door with my thermal camera that attaches to my iPhone. It was verified, checked professionally, and it's not an anomaly as far as a heat source or anything like that, because the figure is actually in the cold colors. Oh, sorry again. But it's a very good, if I can figure out how to get my phone connected to the computer pretty soon here, I will play that video for you. I have it connected, but I don't know how to get the video onto OBS and all that other BS. But I can't wait for that. Because once I figure that out, man, it's on like Donkey Kong. So anyway, then we went down to Indiana State Sanitarium, in Rockville, Indiana. And that was really cool. That was probably one of the better investigations I was on. It's just such a big area, such a big place that you have a lot of places that you can investigate and enjoy, time being there. But yeah, we were there overnight, and it's a short trip. It's 3 hours, nothing really serious, and you have a good time. I haven't gone through. Man, this is driving me nuts. I haven't gone through all the footage from there, but we do have EVPs. We have some of our equipment that was not working properly. We have things that like oh my god, I can't think of it what it is, but it's a sensor, and it has legs. It's a brand new sensor, and it failed to operate. It was fully charged, batteried up, however you want to say it, and it just did not want to cooperate. It did not want to work. As soon as we took it outside, hooked it up in the office area out, like 800 yards away from where we were investigating, it worked flawlessly. Worked just like it was supposed to. And so, yeah, we had that going on. I'm sure we have plenty of EVPs. We just haven't gone through all the evidence. I've been to a crystal shop in Oswego, Illinois, and that is proving to really be active. We're going back in a couple weeks here, and actually in the end of this week. It's already coming up that fast. Wow. Yeah, we have a lot of evidence from that. Haven't caught the EVP just yet, but all of my equipment that I brought out was not working properly. On one camera, I got beautiful audio, but the video's jumpy. On the other camera, oh boy, I'm tired about this here. I am really apologizing. This is not normally how I am. Something's going on, and I was up late this morning. But anyway, one of the things that happened with my other camera was it had beautiful video, but no audio. And you can hear something going on, and then that's it, nothing else. So you knew that there was sound at one point. Even though you don't hear words, you can tell that the microphone is picking something up. There's which I don't believe is what really going on, but there is a light in that, on a track light in the main part of the store, and it flashes constantly. And it has got to stop. The owner of the store believes that she is communicating with a spirit through the flashing of the light. We don't believe it, but we think it's a faulty light, but hey, to each their own. My daughter is a sensitive, and she felt that there was something there, but she didn't believe that it was in the light. She believes there was more than one entity there, and one male, one female that she felt really, was dominant there. She thinks that there's other things going on there, and hopefully when we go back, she'll be able to kind of pinpoint a little bit better. My daughter is very good at what she does. She is natural. She has communicated with her grandfather. and has proven herself beyond anyone else's needing to be proven to. She, my mother-in-law, after my father-in-law passed away, kept blaming him for selling her high school ring. And there would be no reason in the world that my father-in-law would sell her ring. He wasn't broke. He had a lot of money. She's living very comfortable life. So money wasn't an issue ever. And for him just to go out and sell the ring makes no sense. And so it was missing. And my father-in-law kept telling my daughter he wasn't going to tell her where it was at because he was mad that she was blaming him for something he didn't do. And finally my daughter convinced him to tell her where it was at. So she went to her grandmother and said, "Grandma, in the cabinet, in this drawer, under this, clothing or, whatever it was, you'll find the ring. It's in a box, blah, blah, blah." Exactly where my daughter told my grandmother or my mother-in-law is where it was found. When my father-in-law first passed, she was one of the first people to the house, and she had walked past the bedroom where my father-in-law had passed away in. He was still there, and she went into the living room, and she said to my wife, "Who's the lady sitting with Grandpa?" And my wife is like, "There's no one in there. He's by himself. He's just lying there. There's no one here. Me and Grandma are sitting here, and, there's no one else. You guys just showed up." And my daughter said, "No, there's a heavy-set woman sitting next to Grandpa. She has brown curly hair, and she's wearing some type of, she described like a flower type of muumuu." And my wife just looked at her and said, "That's my Auntie Joni." "Oh, so somebody's here." And my wife said, "No, Auntie Joni passed away years ago." My daughter didn't even know, didn't have a clue who she was. She thought she was real. So that tells you what kind of sensitive my daughter is. And so I hope to be able to use her quite a bit in my investigations, especially with this new team. The new team I will be telling you later, not in this episode, because I just don't feel like it. Anyway, I'll be telling you about that team after the next episode. And the reason being is because by the time I get back to doing another episode, I'll probably have been done or will shortly be doing the investigation with them. And maybe I will be able to get a couple interviews out of that, which would really be nice. Plus, I'm going to try to have footage to show on this podcast. So we'll be looking forward to that. And I'm getting to the end of my time right now. I'm going to try to keep these episodes down to about an hour. Much shorter for some of this stuff isn't really going to work, and much longer isn't going to work. I'm going to try to keep you guys just for an hour. If I can't keep you guys interested, then I'm just going to have to shut her down and, hope for the best on myself. Or I might just record them and, maybe someday drop them again. Who knows? But I'm hoping I'm, really keeping your interest. We're going to be doing quite a bit of different, different episodes. You'll be hearing stories, kind of like what I just told you, but the full stories. So it might be a full episode or an episode with two of those examples. I plan on trying to do a podcast with the team at an investigation. I am trying to convince the owner to have a contest where some lucky listener gets to win an opportunity to go with us for a night of investigation, to witness a real investigation for yourselves. So I have a lot of plans. There's going to be a convention coming up not too long from now that the team is going to be out there, and I'm hoping to be doing a podcast from that area. I think I should be able to do it because I have all this equipment now that can be portable, and I can take my studio with me, which will really be cool. So yeah, if you guys are interested, this is what this podcast is going to be doing about. You got it. You can do it. Anyway, yeah. So that's where I'm going with this podcast. I plan to have a lot of action. I like to try to keep things live. I try not to do any editing, and that is in part to being an investigator. You don't want to cut anything, because if you cut it, then you look foolish because they feel that now you're cheating them. So that's why I'm not cutting out the yawns. I'm not going to cut out the voice noises and the uhs that I do a lot of. And the mistakes, they're just staying in. This is raw. This is going to be just like the Not Podcast, which is unapologetic, unscripted. And that's what I am right now. I'm unscripted. I have no plans on scripting anything, because that, again, implies forethought, and I don't have any of that. I don't have any back thought, forethought, nothing thought. So, yeah, that's how this podcast is going to be run. That's how the Not Podcast is run. Whatever comes up, comes out. And we're going to just keep it real and raw. That's how it is. And hopefully you'll stick with it. It's going to be a little different. It's not what your everyday podcast is about. This one isn't going to, hopefully it's not going to get raunchy. I don't think it will. I don't expect a Not Podcast to get raunchy, but you never know what happens with our goofballs. But this one, there's going to be different things going on. It's not going to be me telling stories all the time, or the same old, routine over and over again. I plan on having interviews. I plan on having on location interviews, being at location with this podcast. It's going to take away from a little bit of the investigation, but some investigations are more than one night long, so I hope to be able to work that in. I'm really excited about it. So, join me for the next episode, and, we'll be looking forward to telling you more about my life and, what's going on with the paranormal investigations. So, with further ado, you guys have a good night. Peace out. Yay. And see you next time. This is Mike signing off from the Not Ghost Host Podcast. Deuces.